Je m'appelle Lakshika et aujourd'hui on a parlé à propos au AWOW et multiculturalism au Canada. My name is Lakshika. I am a youth ambassador of AWOW, and today we're going to talk about multiculturalism in Canada. Today we have Sadia and Jamila with us in the studio, and thank you, Multicultural, for giving us the opportunity to talk about things that are important to us. We'll probably start with Sadia. You are the secretary of AWOW. So in today's day and age, how do you think a society like AWOW is important?
I really do believe in power of women, first of all. Not that I'm biased to my own sex, but women truly are resilient. We are multitaskers, and we're the ones mostly teaching our young ones how to do, and from ABC to when they're all grown. So I really do believe in that women need to be more involved, especially women who are immigrants or coming from anywhere else in Canada. That's why our organization came about, and we're still going.
That's beautiful.
Many more to come.
Hopefully, yes, for sure.
Yes.
So one of your annual events is Women's Day. And what impact do you think that event makes on our society?
So how that event actually started happening was that we have a lot of talent in our community. Community meaning immigrant women who have made it from zero to now they are very successful. Yeah. They have made a name for themselves. And we wanted to show our youth that and give them that opportunity to see the accomplishments of these women, and someday give them a stage so they can see themselves on that stage. Picture a dream that someday I will get that, or I will be there.
Yeah.
So it started there, and we are still going. It was our 5th year this year. So yay!
Yes.
And I hope that it evolves and grows, and we'll see many more women of our own descent coming up. Yes.
Also, I've noticed that AWOW not only promotes women, but it also promotes diversity. So one of your events was our events. One of our events was Lohri. So it's because, it is a big thing because Lohri is basically a festival that's celebrated in India. But the fact that we got a chance to do it in Winnipeg says a lot. So how do you think it was, important?
So what actual Lohri is, it is a cultural festival. And it used to be that only boys were celebrated. When boys were born, they were celebrated, and parents or relatives would give away sweets, and they would just flowers and all of that. So what came about is we're giving a stage to people and saying having daughters does require celebrating.
Yeah.
So whoever does that, they come up on stage for free. There's no charge for it. But truly the message behind is to celebrate your boys and girls in our community. It is a Punjabi festival, but many other people from other faiths or cultures do celebrate.
Yeah.
And the part of it is fun.
Yeah.
That's what Asian Women of Winnipeg does. We want to teach our young ones and the older ones, but keep it fun. Keep it just very light, and we're not saying rah about anything, but we're very casually just sliding that information through that, we're all worth celebrating.
Yeah.
So that's where Lohri started.
That's a beautiful, beautiful message. Even I did not know a lot of that background. So I know that one of the recent events that we did was Desi Fest. And how do you think turned out, and what kind of inspired you to do it? Because it's different than other events that we have done before.
Yes.
That's for sure. So how do you think Desi Fest kind of came about to be?
So after one of our board meetings, me, Sharon, who's the president, and I think one more board member, it was Dalvinder, we were just casually talking. And as Sharon has older kids, I have teenage kids, and we were just talking about how our kids are very further away from their culture, and there's a gap which is building between their grandparents, like our parents, and them.
Yeah.
Maybe technology is the way to do it, or them not being in a collective environment. They're not being exposed. They just go to school, and then a lot of us have older parents here living with their family. They do not get to have the same interaction with their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And talking about that, it just led to that we're seeing a lot of mental illness in our teens, a lot of anxiety, which is just being suppressed, and they're not talking about it. And our older, talent, I call them talent, and grandparents, they have lived a life. They know a lot more about this world and how to live it than us. And we should be using that. We should be using those resources and bridging that gap between our young ones and our older ones, so they can both enjoy this new world that we're living in. Because to them, technology is a stigma. They cannot, they don't know how to maneuver that.
Yeah.
So that's where we thought, hey, how can we do it? It needs to be multicultural. We need to show that we're not very different than each other. And difference isn't such a bad thing. Yeah. Difference is actually a wonderful thing. Yeah. And next thing we know, we contacted Terry Duguid. We contacted a few of other, Janice Morley, that, because they have connections in the community. Yeah. And this wonderful lady, that's how we met her, and many other community. It was overwhelming. We weren't expecting the kind of response from the community. And everybody was just, yay, let's do it. Everybody was on board. Yeah. And I'm talking, these are people who are not being compensated anything in return other than just showcase their culture and be proud of that and their heritage and say that this is what I carry and that's where I'm from. Yeah. How cool is that? And our kids relate to that. Exactly. I'm cool and I'm hip. Yeah. 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 So that's why that came into place, and it was a success. Yeah. I must say, I have not seen that many people from that much talent. Yeah. It was just overwhelming. Yeah. Absolutely. You were there.
Yeah. Especially right? I liked how it was also one of a kind, because we weren't just catering to words, although that is also a beautiful thing in and of itself, but we also, it was kind of like it was the world under one roof. So it wasn't just one community, but there were performances and discussions and people from so many different backgrounds that it kind of made the event such a beautiful place and such a beautiful event in itself. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes. I never knew what Rangoli was until I got involved with this organization. And first time when we celebrated Lori, that's when I found out that wonderful art of colors, how they do it. And little kids learning that was such a treat. Yeah. It was a wonderful experience. And it's things like that bring us closer to each other. Yeah. To see each other's cultures and see how beautiful we are is just, it's Canada. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's a beautiful country full of beautiful people, all immigrants from different parts of the world, some being happy here or some didn't actually want to be here, but still happened to be here.
Yeah.
Right. So yes.
That's beautiful. And I like how you talked about kids making rangoli. And, you know, a lot of things that we learn as kids kind of stay with us, whether we think about it or not. So what was your childhood like? Or what were like some memories that, you know, have stayed with you?
So I'll tell you, my childhood memories are of Aladdin. We used to read the books, and what most people will say that I want to go to New York and see the buildings and all of that. My childhood was full of, I used to tell my dad that I wanted to go to Baghdad.
Yeah.
Why? It was this mesmerizing stories that I read. And obviously back then we were pretty far away from, our parents kept us away from the news and all the horrible things that were going. It's more so in the media everywhere. We only had the TV in our days.
Yeah.
And when I came here and found many things, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
That I'll never get to experience that. And then slowly when I integrated into the community, I met someone who was from Iraq, and that's why I enjoy doing this. I get to still eat that food. I get to still meet people who wear those clothes. I cannot go to Iraq, but I can still experience it.
Through those people.
Through those people, yes.
We'll now also talk to our youth ambassador of Asian Women in Winnipeg, and we've worked together for the AC Fest, so I know she's a beautiful, beautiful person. Although I know a lot about you, but let's just, you know, share your experiences. Let's start with, were you born in Canada?
No, I was not. I was born in a refugee camp in Syria. So my family was originally from Iraq as well. We fled Iraq to Syria and then came to Canada as refugees in 1999.
Ooh.
Yeah.
After you came here, how did Canada and how did the people here treat you, and how was the whole experience? Like, were you welcomed, and how was that?
Yeah, so I was pretty young when we came over.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, we can see that now when newcomer kids and stuff like that,
Yeah.
kind of like sponges,
Yeah.
they pick everything up right away.
Yeah.
I think the issue really lies with the older generation who come here.
Yeah.
You know, like 40 plus.
Yeah.
Who are coming and have a lot harder time adjusting to the culture and the language and the weather. Although those things are hard for everyone, I find it's an extra burden on those who come when they're a bit older.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to learn things from scratch.
Yeah.
And I find that's where you see a bit of the conflict with the younger kids and then their parents, and then you have those little clashes because you're like, why can't you understand? This is how they do it here. And they say, well, we've been doing it this way for 50 years. And it's that clash of culture, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my biggest thing was always trying to find a middle ground with my parents and my community and trying to mold it really slowly into the best of both worlds, right? So that was my experience.
Yeah, and I like how
Still
you
is.
said, that you were young, and I can actually attest to because I remember everything when I came here, because I was much older. I was 14 years old when I came here, and so I remember like everything. And so it's like you live in one place. So I lived in New Delhi, India for 14 years. Then I came here, and the most beautiful part of it all was that I expected differences. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. That's all I had actually envisioned.
Yeah.
And when I came here, I was like, I don't feel the difference.
Yeah.
And that's when I actually realized that, you know, when you live in a certain place for quite some time, you start to think that, you know, well, I live here, so we're probably one of a kind. People don't think like us. Yeah. And I was amazed by how beautiful it is and now I'm such a fan of actually moving to places, because when I lived there, I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. But now that I was here, and I realized that the only thing that connects us all is that we're humans, and is that we go through things and we experience them. And so it's like those differences that I always thought we had, they never I never experienced them. So moving on, in terms of opportunities, do you think Canada provides those opportunities that are required, that are needed for new immigrants? Do you think that we have opportunities in Canada for new people?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just like to point out that Canada was actually the country who welcomed the most amount of refugees in 2018.
Yeah.
So good for Canada. We beat out every other country. So yeah, opportunities-wise, I think, well, like, I'll just speak to Winnipeg. I know just in the last 2 years, there's been so many different programs through settlement agencies and different organizations coming together to create opportunities for newcomers, refugees, migrants, everyone who fits under that umbrella.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to point out that, newcomers, asylum seekers, refugees, migrants are completely different things. They all have different types of stories, although they all come from a different country to Canada. That journey is completely different. So just like to put that in there. So yeah, definitely lots of opportunities all across the board, though, in terms of people coming from different countries trying to start a new life, a better life, whether they're fleeing war, just trying to come here to find, job opportunities, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think Canada definitely provides those opportunities. I mean, we can always do better, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're doing pretty good right now.
Beautiful. And of course, like I said, you're a youth ambassador in AOL. And how do you think the youth is important, and how do you think the youth plays a role in our society? Because I remember I was reading that the UN Secretary General, he stated that, quote unquote, that it's time we take a seat in your table, because I think it's a time where, we're talking about global warming, climate change, and he kind of pointed out that, some things that our adults have missed out on, the youth is really quick at pointing that out. And so how do you think the youth is important? Because it is important. How do you think it plays a role in our society? Like we play a role.
I think the role we play is huge.
Yeah.
I think, like you were saying earlier, about youth. When people say youth are the future, but it's like, no, we're really leading right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at tech sectors and different things like that, it's mostly young people leading these different industries. I mean, if you look at the climate movement, it's like Greta Thunberg. Like, she's a 16-year-old girl leading the world.
Yeah.
Leading really the world on this, we need action right now. As a 16-year-old girl, right? And different fields. I mean, even on refugees and newcomers. I'm 23 years old, and I've been so passionate about this issue forever, and now to be the leader of my own community and, really promoting that. I think the local, the national, and the international stage, you see youth everywhere, so really we need to just pull up a seat at the grown-up table and be like, listen, this is going to affect us for years to come. No more, nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
So, I think the youth definitely are playing a huge role.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I like how also you pointed out that, we are not the future, we're kind of already here, and these things are going to impact us in the long run. So with that, we're going to conclude today's discussion, and I first of all want to say thank you to you, Multicultural, and then these beautiful ladies, Sadia and Jamila, for such an enlightening experience, and I feel like I learned a lot, and hopefully you guys learned something and had fun, and we'll probably see you next time. Thank you.